It's 9.99, Greg.
Yeah.
Spurs. Again, you had asked me 3 weeks ago. I would have said to you, the Knicks have no shot against any of these two teams in the Western Conference, which is OKC or San Antonio Finals. No shot. No shot. I feel completely different now. And for a lot of reasons, not just the fact that New York looks so good, because I do think there's something to be said that the level of competition they've faced has been much lesser than what hell said.
I lost you for a second.
Just cut off. Wait there?
Yeah. For like 11 seconds, you froze.
Okay, hold on. I
don't know if that's.
Yeah. Sorry, my internet was giving me a little issues, but okay. Yeah, I think Minnesota, who they beat in the second round of playoffs, is actually better than all three teams they face in the East: Atlanta, Philly, and Cleveland, in my opinion. So San Antonio's definitely faced more challenges in comparison to the Knicks. Having said that, the Knicks have gone on a heater now where they're not just beating teams, that they're beating them by way more than we probably thought they would do in a consistent manner through this 10-game, 11-game winning streak they've been on. Having said that, the only thing, and on top of that too, also, the only thing that would make the Spurs, worry me, and I don't think it will be an issue, but the only thing that would worry me is that maybe their youth comes out for a game or two. Maybe the too young for the moment thing. But I think these moments they've gone through with OKC and Minnesota, winning these big games when they're back against the wall, has shown me a lot also too. So we'll go there. Having said that, how you feeling the series? Who you leaning? What's your prediction? Anything? All that.
Yeah, I want to follow up on that last point. I don't know that San Antonio has been challenged as much as we'd like to think either. I mean, Portland wasn't, that this isn't their moment. They're still young and building. Minnesota, Edwards was a shell of himself because he had a knee problem. DiVincenzo, tore his Achilles, wasn't a factor. DeSumo missed a couple games, wasn't a factor. So, I mean, Minnesota was far from full health too. And then you look at OKC, they go 7 games against a team that's missing their, second and third best shot creators. The argument could be made, San Antonio should have, taken care of them earlier, given what they were missing. But I will say that even with all that said, that's still tougher than what the Knicks played. Although the Knicks, to your point, were beating all these teams by 30 points. So, I mean, like, they were blowing them out. It wasn't like they were struggling to get by. So, I mean, I think going into the finals, I'm probably more impressed by the Knicks. Having said all that, as far as a prediction, I think I would take San Antonio in 6. Only reason being is I don't know where they're going to be able to hide some of their defenders. Not that Cat hasn't been great. I think he's probably played the best defense of his life so far in the playoffs. But your ideal matchup, I would think, would be putting OG Anunoby on Wemby just because of his physicality and how good he is as a defender. And then where do you put Cat at that point? There's nowhere else to hide him. And then also there's no place to hide Brunson. So, I mean, the questions that we had all year about, 40% of their lineup can't defend, that hasn't materialized in the playoffs. Cat's been a great defender, but you basically would have to put Cat on Wemby, and I think that's a terrible matchup for the Knicks. If you put OG on him, then who else is Cat going to guard? He's not, maybe you stick him on Champagny, because I think ideally you'd want a lesser offensive player that he could help off of to then help with Wemby in addition to what OG is providing. You want to give a second level of defense. It almost might be that Mitchell Robinson is the better center for this series, but you need Cat's offense, you need his playmaking. So I feel like they're in sort of like a little catch-22 there, like how they're going to play the lineup.
You just hit something that's important to me.
One more thing, they have no place to hide Brunson. They could hide him on Dean Wade last series. They have no guard that they can hide him on in this series. So that would concern me a little bit too.
I think Mitch Robinson's the big wild card of the series.
Yeah,
because Cat can pull whoever out to the perimeter, i.e. Wemby, whoever else may be. But if you pull Wemby out, for example, those boards are there for the taking. That's where Robinson's, only strength really as a player is rebounding. Now he did have surgery on his broken pinky, So that's something to be said. He's going to play the series, he said. But that, to me, I think that's the biggest wild card in the series. People don't talk about Brunson and blah, blah, blah. I think Mitchell Robinson is probably the biggest key to the series for the Knicks, because if you can control the boards and keep the Spurs to one possessions every time and get rebounds, that's going to help a lot. That will neutralize Wemby to some degree too also.
Yeah, and you wonder if they're going to play a lot of Cat at the 4 and then maybe OG at the 3 and then Bridges at the 2. Maybe it pushes Hart out of the lineup a little bit. Maybe they have to go big with, almost like OKC did, where Chet was at the 4 and Hartenstein was at the 5. Does Mitch have to play 25 to 30 minutes a game and Cat plays mostly at the 4 just because of Wemby's size? I guess we'll find out with that. But as far as his injury, I don't think his injury matters at all, because he is not an offensive threat whatsoever. If he can grab it's not like it's going to affect his free throw shooting or anything like that. Like, basically, he just needs to be able to body up against Wemby and grab a rebound. So I mean, as long as he can do that, I'm not worried about the injury, because it's not like he's Brunson where like he's relying on his shooting and relying on his scoring. Like, he can't shoot anyway. So I mean,
Exactly.
That I'm not concerned about. It's probably
but the problem is now too. Now essentially he's on the court, you're 4 and 5.
True.
Right? Yeah. So that's only an issue too. Also, so you have to kind of mismatch what's your priority here. And to boot, are the Knicks disciplined enough to commit to that process? Because Wemby's special. Wemby can do whatever he wants, and maybe they play another guard on top of the key with Cat, and that cancels that out. Who knows? I don't know. And also, Spurs defensively have been very impressive too. On top of that.
Yeah.
So I think they can counter everything, much like OKC can as well too. Also, I think we've learned San Antonio's defense also. They can defend just as almost on the same level as OKC. I be honest with you, before the series started, I would have said the Knicks won the Spurs as opposed to the Thunder because of how they played this year. But as the series went on and look at the situation with the injuries, if you're a Knicks fan, you want the Thunder.
Yeah,
you want the Thunder because they're not at full, they're not whole. And even if you get Jalen Williams back. Jim Williams is not at full strength. Obviously, the hammy's going to be an issue going through the summer. Angel Mitchell, who knows when he's getting back? So I think if you were the Knicks, you probably wanted the Thunder instead. Because at least they're one dimensional. The Spurs aren't anything but, and we learned that in Game 7 against the Thunder on Saturday. So you taking the Spurs in this series, and how many games?
6.
Same. Me too. Yeah. 6. But I will say this is not a disrespect to the Knicks, and Knicks fans, calm your ass down. I know y'all going to start tweeting me and shit and saying, "Oh, you're such a hater." Blah, blah, blah. No, it's just that the Knicks might have probably as good a roster as San Antonio. Probably. What's the difference here between the two teams, though? San Antonio got that guy, and that guy is special, and there's nobody that can stop that guy on your team. Good luck.
I actually think defensively they'll be okay against San Antonio. Like, I think that the Knicks can be fine in that respect. They could probably try and push Wemby a little further out. My issue is just going to be like, how are they scoring at the other end, and is Cat getting into foul trouble? Like, there are going to be times where Brunson's going to get blown by and things of that nature. I think that San Antonio will miss enough shots that the Knicks will be okay. Mm-hmm. Because of the youth, like you said. Like, I don't think that Castle or Harper are necessarily like knockdown 3-point shooters, but I don't know. I just look at the whole, and I feel like there are a few more matchup advantages that San Antonio has that they can sort of pick on, which hasn't been the case so far for the Knicks, but it's something that we've worried about all season. And now that you're playing the best team that you're going to face, those might show up again. So we'll see.
Yeah. But we're not on the same page. We both have Knicks and Spurs rather in 6. So we'll see how it plays out. That's Wednesday night, Game 1. By the way,